Hi everyone. In this video, we will see how to create a custom host image by using image template builder. So this is your lab. Let's get started. So I have already logged in. Let me go to the first task. So this is about create custom session host image by using image templates. So for that, we need to have so many things, like we need to have the necessary resource provider registered and then the necessary managed identity. So all these steps are given in this particular lab and we are going to perform exactly the same. Okay, let's get started with the first task. So in the first task, we'll be seeing how we can register the required resource providers. Either you can do it by executing these commands, or you can go and do it by connecting to Azure portal as well. So we will follow as given in this particular instruction. Let me first access Azure portal. I need to log in as user 1. Successfully logged in. Then I'll access Cloud Shell and run these command. So in the Cloud Shell, you can select PowerShell because these commands are related to PowerShell. I don't need any storage. I'll just go with the default setting and I say apply. So these are some of the resource provider we need to successfully complete this particular lab. So we need this desktop virtualization to be enabled to do any activity related to AVD. We need this particular resource, and then we are going to create a virtual machine images. So for that, this resource provider is must. And then storage related activity, compute related activity, network related activity. See, many Azure subscription will come some of these already pre-registered, but we are just anyways trying to register all these once again. So it might take about 5 minutes. So we don't need to wait. We can go ahead and start doing the other activities because still we have some more resources to be created. And before we actually go and start doing this image build operation, so we have some other tasks to be completed. Let them get executed background. Okay, now let's go and create user assigned managed identity. For that, I'll just duplicate this particular tab. Okay, in here, I will search for managed identity. It's managed identities. It's like a user identity, like how if you want an user to access Azure cloud resources, then we create a account or an identity, or we create a UPN name and assign it to him. And we will also assign some role-based access control. So based on the role what we assign, he can perform activity. Similarly, the same here, the managed identity. So this managed identity will be used by a resource to access another resources. For that reason, we are creating this managed identity. Let's go and create. Subscription. Okay, so we need to create a new resource group. Let's name it as, okay, if it is already exists, let me select that particular resource group, that is 15 ARG is already there. And then East US 2. to be the region, and then the name of user assigned managed identity is this. So scope, you can even set it to regional, but when you set it to null, this user assigned managed identity, which is created as part of East US, can be used by any resource which is created in another region to authenticate itself to access the other resources, we can say. So one resource, if it needs to access another resource, then it needs proper identity. And one resource which actually needs the access, okay, will go and get this particular managed identity. Once this is done, then we will go and create a custom or back role. So far we just used the inbuilt managed by Azure roles, but for this particular lab, we are going to create our own custom or our back role. So let's see how we can do that now. Okay, fine. This is created. Fine. Now let's go and go with this particular Cloud Shell. Okay. And let's get our subscription ID. This command will take my subscription ID, and the subscription ID will be stored to this particular object called subscription ID. So whenever I refer in the further subsequent commands, this subscription ID, and that's my ID, my subscription ID. So this is done. Then now let's go and run the following command to create a JSON based custom role. Okay, fine. Let me just run this particular command. Here, some variable is getting a lot of data, and that data is getting outputted to one file called custom role.json. Okay, now you have the file ready to create a custom role. Now, when you run the next command, that command actually creates a custom role. Let's go and do that. So now we have the custom role data here in this particular file. Now, when I run this, it actually creates a new custom role. Yeah, the custom role got created. Okay, I'm supposed to modify this particular random placeholder. So what I will do, I will just go fine. So we need this particular random placeholder. So anyways, I can get it in multiple different places as well. So my user ID will also have that particular random number, and this random number is already here. Let me copy this and have it somewhere here. 527132224. 527132224. Okay, fine. Yes, this task is done. Now let's go with the next task. So the next task is about set permission on the host image provisioning related resources. Okay, fine. Now let's go and create a resource group. And for that, let's go search for resource group and create a resource group. Subscription, we can leave it as it is. Then the resource group name to be 15BRG East US 2. And then review, create, and create. Find the new resource group got created. Let me wait for some more time. Yeah, it got created. Next thing is that let me just close this and then go to the newly created resource group. In here, I'll go and access control, add new role assignment. So in the previous task, we created a custom role-based access control role, right? So that role, we will be assigning it to the managed identity, what we have created in the previous task. So we created managed identity. We also created a custom role. So now we are associating that custom role to that managed identity. So any resource gets that managed identity can get those roles as well. Fine, so let's go and search for this particular role called desktop virtualization image builder. So this is, if you see, this is a role. I'm just going to select, and the type of the role is custom role, which is created by us. And I can say next. And then in here, select member, right? So before selecting member, you need to select managed identity here. So because this role, we are going to assign to managed identity, but not for a user or a group. So far, we just saw only how we can assign it to a user and group. Similarly, we can even assign it to a managed identity, any role-based access control. It might be custom or managed, whatever it is. So let's go and select a managed identity. So this managed identity, it's a user as in managed identity. And this is the identity we have created and select. And I can say review assign and then review and assign. So now we have created the necessary roles and then the identity. Now let's go and create some compute gallery and then the image definition. That's task 5. Search for Azure Compute Gallery and create Compute Gallery. So this is Azure Compute Galleries. You may not have any gallery yet. So let's go and create one now. When I say create, a resource group, it's on the basic state here. So the subscription, we leave it as it is. The resource group to be 15B. And then the name of the compute gallery is this. Let it be in East US 2. If you want, you can give some description. If not, you can leave it. And then click sharing method. So on the sharing tab of the create Azure compute gallery, leave the default options. So we'll just leave these default options. So this is about role-based access control. So this compute gallery will be authenticated using role-based access control. Anyways, we created a custom role. So with that, the authentication can be done. So I'll just go and say review, create and create. We need to wait for at least 1 minute. Fine, that gallery got created. Now let's get inside that gallery, Azure Compute Gallery. Now let's go and add the definition. So Compute Gallery is a kind of container where it can hold multiple definitions. So one per image. So let's say that you can have one definition for Windows 11 multi-session, one more definition for Windows 10 Enterprise, and one more for Linux distribution. Like that, you can have multiple definitions. And all those definitions will be inside this particular Compute Gallery. Let's go and create a VM image definition. So on the basics tab of the VM image definition, let's give these default values. Okay, find the region to be East US2 and then the image definition name. Under Compute Gallery, if you want to address this image definition, and this is the name for unique identification, then the OS type is Windows, and we'll go with trusted launch. And then it supports only generation 2. Fine. And then the rest of the things we can leave it as it is. Then let's go for OS state to be generalized. Publisher, you can give according to your requirement these names, but I'm going with these names according to what is given in the instruction. So we're creating a definition. Later, we add one image to this particular definition. So that image is based on Windows 11 multi-session. That is why the naming is also related to that. So we are going to use that image for virtual desktop creation. That is why we are going for much desktop, Windows desktop, and then Windows 11. We need a multi-session for that. And the names are something related to that. Next, I can click on version. And then I'll go for publishing options. So the publishing option also, like we're going to leave it to the default. We're not going to add anything. And then let's go and create. Okay, it is just a definition creation. That's it. It's almost like you have created a container, and then inside that container only you are defining something, but actually implementation or image creation is yet to be triggered. That's the next part. In the next part, we will be creating a custom image template. So that we will do it in the next video.